Hi, I'm Amy Romeo. Welcome to my 12 Days of Christmas Crafts event, where I'm sharing a brand new holiday faux leather craft for your Cricut every day for 12 days. Today's project is these really cute little name keychains. These are great stocking stuffers, great gifts for the teenagers in your life, the kids or the grandkids, and these can also be made for boys very easily, just choosing different faux leather colors and different font choices and texts. So this is a really easy SVG to cut, and I have it for you. I'll let you know how to get it in just a moment. But first, let's go through our tools and materials. So I'll be cutting this project today with my Cricut Maker, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines because they all cut faux leather with the standard fine point blades that's included. You can cut this project on the Cricut Joy. You'll just need the longer 12-inch mat to be able to cut this shape. The faux leather that I'm using, just some seasonal prints. I recommend a solid if you want to add a name so that it's the name is easily read. This one is a pretty simple print. You want some contrast between your letter colors and your patterns. Now, if you don't want to do a name, then you can do a fun pattern or print as well. Super cute. The heat transfer vinyl that I'm using, this is some Caesar Easy Weed, but you can use whatever you'd like. To apply the heat transfer vinyl to the faux leather, I'll be using my Easy Press Mini, but you could also use a regular Easy Press or a regular heat press. I have a heat pressing pad. I have a cover sheet. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed smaller, but you could use butcher paper or parchment paper. I have some blue painter's tape. I have a weeding tool, some small scissors, and then I have the hardware that we need to put the keychain together. So the keychain uses two different elements. This here is the little lobster claw clasp, and this is a swivel. And then this little part here has a 1/2 inch wide opening. So I've sized the SVG perfectly to fit in there. And then this little metal piece, this is called a rivet. This is a 6mm size, and I'll link to all of these supplies for you. But the rivet is very easy to install. We just need 2 little parts that come in a little bag. And then we need the little pieces that come along with the rivets and regular garage hammer. So let me show you how to get the SVG for this project. Then we'll jump into Design Space. We'll cut out our SVGs, personalize this with a name, and then I'll show you how to put these together. To get the SVG files for this project, visit amyromeo.com/Christmas24, or you could upgrade to the event VIP pass, where you'll get instant access to all the event projects and tutorials, plus a workbook, some bonuses, and more. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload, and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file for this project has been saved on your device. Click on it to select it, and then click Open. You'll see a preview of the SVG, click Continue, and then Upload. So this is a very simple shape to cut. I don't recommend changing the size or doing anything different. If you don't want to add a name, you can go ahead and just send this to cut by clicking the Make It button. But first I want to show you, if you want to add a name, a few suggestions for you. So we can start by clicking the text box here, and that's going to create some default text. And then what we can do is go ahead and type our name. Now you can use any font you'd like. You can use this Cricut Sans font if that's what you have. So here, let's talk about fonts for just a second. If you click on the little font drop-down menu, there are a couple different options. The Cricut tab is going to show all of your Cricut fonts that come with every Cricut, the free fonts, and then also any fonts you may have purchased or would like to purchase. Now, System is going to be fonts that you have found in other places. I get a lot of my free fonts from dafont.com. So if you have downloaded a font onto your system, it will be here and available to bring into Cricut Design Space. So the font that I want to use today is called Simple Interior. It's a free font from dafont.com, and I'll leave a link to it for you. So I'm just going to click on it and then close this out, and now we see that our name has transformed into that font. So let me drag my shape down here a little bit. Now all we want to do is make our name shape a little bit smaller until we get it sized appropriately. Basically, you want it to be as big as it can be without going over the edges of your shape. And I also like to go through here and click on letter space just a little bit, just to space out those letters a tiny bit. Just click that little arrow up. I like to go up to about the 0.5. So that looks good. We'll click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. And now we have 2 mats to cut. We want to click on Mirror for both of them because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. So I've mirrored both mats, and then on the faux leather mat, I just want to drag my shape down a little bit. I like to drag it away from the edges of the mat because we'll be using that blue painter's tape to tape down our material to get a good cut. I like to do the same on my heat transfer vinyl mat. I like to just drag it away from the edges a little bit. So click Continue. So the faux leather mat, which I always like to cut first, I use the faux leather paper thin setting. If you don't have it bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explorer Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you can search for and find this setting. So faux leather paper thin with more pressure. And then your heat transfer vinyl mat will cut using the manufacturer's recommended cut settings for your brand and type of heat transfer vinyl. Okay, let's hop back over to my overhead camera and we will cut out our mats and get our little keychain assembled. So the first thing I want to show you before we cut our faux leather shape, this is completely optional, but I wanted to show you if you wanted to have the inside of your faux leather keychain, if you wanted it to have that little pop of color and sort of cover up this back of the faux leather, we can do that by pressing heat transfer vinyl on it. And my favorite way to do this is to press the heat transfer vinyl onto the back of the faux leather before we cut, so that when the machine makes the cut, it's cutting through both layers at once. So you can see on these, I didn't put the heat transfer vinyl. You just see the back of the faux leather, and that's totally fine, but it is fun to sort of dress these up a little with that extra touch. So the way to do that is to cut your piece of faux leather down to a size that's just slightly larger than that shape that's going to cut. And I got that size by looking in the mat preview in Cricut Design Space. And then I cut a piece of heat transfer vinyl to the same size as that faux leather piece. And I'm just putting them back to back. I'm going to put them back to back with the faux leather down on the mat. I have my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting. If you're using a regular Easy Press, I would start it at about 265 degrees for this. Then I'm just going to cover my heat transfer vinyl and then start to press. And I want to press all over the back of this all the way down for at least 10 seconds. So once you've pressed all over, we're just going to find a little corner here. And what you want to do is try and keep your faux leather flat, but lift up a little corner of that clear carrier sheet. Let me see if you can see that a little better. Here's the clear carrier sheet on that heat transfer vinyl. We just want to peel this all the way back. I like to go slow in case the vinyl starts to lift up or bubble. Then you can just place your carrier sheet right back down and press some more. But this looks pretty good. Oh, I do see a little lifting here on the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover again and press all over one more time now that that clear carrier sheet is removed. It's important that our heat transfer vinyl is really well adhered to the back of the faux leather, because when that blade cuts through on the heat transfer vinyl side, it could rip or tear your heat transfer vinyl if it's not really well pressed down. But this looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and get my purple strong grip mat. Then I'm going to put my faux leather shape with the pretty faux leather side down, right at that spot we saw on the mat preview screen where our shapes are going to cut. Now we're going to take our blue painter's tape and just tape around on all sides. So we already have our faux leather paper thin cut setting ready to go. So we'll just load our mat into the Cricut and begin the cut. So our shape has cut one time, and I always like to use my sharp weeding tool to lift up the corner of the cut to see if it looks like it went all the way through. You probably can't see that very well, but this cut looks good. If you wanted to rerun the cut, you always can do that. As long as you haven't unloaded your mat, just press that cut button again as many times as you'd like. This looks good though, so I'm going to unload the mat and remove my shape. And since we have that heat transfer vinyl on the back, I want to press it one more time just to be sure. And I'm going to remove my little shapes here, the circles that cut out. And if they don't punch out cleanly, then you can use your little curved scissors just to trim up those little holes. But get those cleaned out, and those are for our rivets. Now I'm going to return to Design Space and cut out our little name from our heat transfer vinyl. And I'm just going to use the iron-on setting for this on my green standard grip mat. So my heat transfer vinyl layer cut out, and I'm just going to take a moment and weed away the excess vinyl. So our little name is ready to press. I have my Easy Press Mini all set to go, again on just that low setting. And I'm going to take my piece here, and what you want to do is put the name sort of in the direction of where the arrow side of your shape is. And I want you to imagine that our shape is folded. If you line up those two little circles there, if you line up those two circles, then you'll see how wide our piece is. And I recommend you try and center your name in that space that's on one side of the keychain. So just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And let's see. Just sort of giving myself a little cheat here to figure out where to put that. So that's where our name will be, and then we have that pretty iron-on on the inside. Now I wanted to show you what I'm putting the name on now is this top side where there will only be a rivet. This side is also fun and kind of pretty. It has a rivet and it has that little arrow shape. So if you wanted to put your name on the other side, then you would want to flip it down to this side. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we're just going to cover and press. Just peel away that carrier sheet. So let's start by taking our keychain shape and then our rivet, the one that looks like a post. It has that little nail part of the post, and you're going to put it down into that second hole. So not the triangle hole and not the far hole, but this second hole. Then we're going to take our little key ring shape and just slide it onto the triangle part. Flip that over. Then we're going to take the other end of our keychain shape, put it down on the post that's sticking up, just like that. So you've created a loop. And now we're going to bring the triangle part over onto that same post, just like that. And you want to press that down. So now what you have is the post sticking up and all of these little pieces underneath that post. Now we're going to take the cap of the rivet and we're just going to snap it down. You'll feel it sort of catch a little bit. So it's secure, but it still needs to be hammered into place. So now I'm going to move my heat pressing pad. I'm going to take that little strike plate with the flat surface up, put it on my surface. I'm going to put my little keychain here. It doesn't matter which side you do. Then we're going to take our little plastic piece and look for the concave part where it has that sort of scooped out end. We're going to place that scooped out end right on over our rivet. Hold that in place and then just hammer a few times. And what that does is bring that rivet closer. It connects to the other side, and now our little keychain is secure. Isn't that cute? And then this little swivel clip goes around. I just think these are really fun and they will make great stocking stuffers. So here's another look at all of the little designs that I created for you as samples. I hope you like this project and you make some of these keychains yourself for the holidays. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.